For the third week of quarter 3, we will discuss restating sentences and summarizing information from various text types. At the end of this lesson, you are expected to restate sentences heard in your own words and summarize information from various text types. But before we proceed to our new lesson, let's review the 4 text types. The first 2 basic types are classification and explanation, and the third and fourth are enumeration and time order. Again, when we say text types, these are the pieces of writing that you read or create. Enumeration means to list details of the subject one by one, while time order means present ideas according to the time in which they occurred, or the step-by-step process of how to do something. To test your memory, try to do this exercise where you need to identify the passage, whether it's an enumeration or a time order text type. Let's read the first item. First, we measure the perfume into the beaker. Following that, we poured it into its designated bottle. Finally, we label the bottle for display. The correct answer is time order. The signal words used are first, following that, and finally. This passage states the process or steps of how we can bottle up a perfume. The second item, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. The correct answer is enumeration because the speaker gave examples of places where we can allow freedom. And also, who are the God's children? Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics. So those are the reasons why this passage is enumeration text type. The third item. First, we measured out the ingredients for the cake. After that, we mixed them together to make a batter. Then we poured the batter into a cake tin. Finally, we put the cake tin in the oven. The correct answer is time order. The signal words used are first, after that, then, and finally. These signal words are used to state the procedures of how we can bake a cake. So that is why it is a time order. Now we're done discussing the different text type. We will now move on how we can restate this text or restating an idea. When we say restating an idea, it is saying it in other terms or words. Also, a restatement uses different sentence formation. When we try to restate a paragraph or sentences, the content or the meaning of the original text remain, but the structure of the sentences were changed or modified. In addition, in restating an idea, do not change the word-per-word structure of the text. Instead, organize the thoughts in mind and come up in putting it together in own words in a different way. Because if you change it word by word, it may not make sense. For example, let's read the original text before we read the restated passage. As stated in Animal Planet, the hippopotamus is the third largest land mammal, after elephants and rhinoceroses. It grows up to 16 feet long and 5 feet tall. An average female hippo can weigh around 1,400 kilograms, and a hippo male can weigh up to 4,500 kilograms according to San Diego. Now let's read the restated passage in own words. Hippopotamus is the third largest land mammal after elephants and rhinoceroses, as said by the Animal Planet. It can get bigger by 16 feet long and 5 feet tall. According to San Diego, a female hippo can normally weigh up to 1,400 kilograms compared to a male hippo, which may gain up to 4,500 kilograms. Notice the first statement. The source of the information came first on the original text, but here it came on the last part of the sentence. In the second sentence, the word grow changed into bigger. And in the third sentence, the source of the information and the statement were rearranged. You're now wondering, how do we properly restate ideas? Well, we have different strategies on how we can restate this text. Number 1, start your first sentence in different point from that of the original text. The essential information are cited in a completely different manner. This means we are rearranging the different points of the text or the paragraph, or we can also choose what comes first or not. Number 2, use synonyms. Synonyms are words or phrases with the same meaning. In the example above, observe the use of synonyms. From the word grows, we change it into bigger. And from the word average, we use the word normal. We use synonyms to make the sentence more complex or simple depending on the audience or reader it may have. Number 3, modify the sentence structure. For instance, if the sentence was originally in the active voice, change it to passive. When we say active voice, it is a sentence led by the subject, the thing doing the action. While in the passive voice, the object leads the sentence, or the object, the thing receiving the action. For example, from the original passage, as stated in Animal Planet, the hippopotamus is the third largest land mammal after elephants and rhinoceroses. From here, we can identify the Animal Planet is the subject, while the hippopotamus is the third largest land mammal and after elephants and rhinoceroses are the object. While in restated passage, the position of the object and the subject were changed. Number 4, classify the information and have it in separate sentences. Although restating sentences will usually result in a word count about the same as the original text, you may try to consider the number of sentences to make the text different. For instance, if the original text is composed of 2 sentences, you may combine the information into one. This strategy wants you to classify or sort the opposite or similar ideas from the text. So those are the 4 strategies on how we can restate ideas. Now we have another skill that you need to learn, summarizing. Let's define first what is summarizing. It is a brief overview of an entire discussion or passages read. People often summarize to emphasize important points of certain texts. After reading a text, we try to summarize or write a shorter version of the text that includes the significant points. You can use this chart to summarize the essential ideas of a passage. You need to identify first the main idea and the supporting details. It can contain 3 or more supporting details. When we say main idea, it is the main topic or the subject of the text, while the supporting detail means it is the added information to strengthen the main idea. For example, Philippine eagles are well adapted to life in thick mountainous forests. Their short, broad wings and a squared-off tail enable them to rise vertically between trees. They can move around with speed and agility through branches and vines. They can skillfully snatch monkeys, birds, and other mammals from trees. They have talon feet and termite with sharp hooked beaks. Using the chart earlier, we have identified the main topic and the 3 supporting details. The main topic is the Philippine eagles are well adapted to mountainous forests. But how do we prove that they are well adapted? First, they have speed and agility because of their broad wings and squared-off tail. And lastly, they can survive the forest because they are naturally skillful. Now let's read the summarized passage or the sentence form of the chart earlier. Philippine eagles are well adapted to mountainous forests. Their broad wings and squared-off tail make them move with speed and agility to skillfully survive. To avoid confusion, let's compare the difference of restating and summarizing a text. First, in restating, you are saying the same idea but with your own words, while in summarizing, you are telling the important points of a passage. Second, You can choose how much to restate, while in summarizing, you must include important ideas. Because in restating, you can consider anything, while in summarizing, you must only include the important ideas. Lastly, you are clarifying the statement, while in summarizing, you are compressing the statement. Because in restating, you are explaining the text without the means of making it shorter. Now it's time to practice what you have learned. First, try to restate the following sentences in your own words. Number 1. The space shuttle has a robot arm. It helps move things into and out of the shuttle. It can also hold an astronaut who is working in space. Mars rovers are robots. They drive around on the land. The possible answer number 1. A robot arm is attached to the space shuttle. To move things in and out of the shuttle, they use the help of the robot arm. It's also big enough to fit an astronaut working in space. The rovers on Mars are robots and they drive around the land. We restated the passage by having active voice into passive voice. We also use synonyms. From the word hold, we change it into big enough to fit an astronaut working in space. Number 2, 3 NASA rovers are on Mars. 2 of them are still working. Stardust was first robot sent to a comet. It brought bits of the comet back to Earth in January 2006. The possible answer number 2. On Mars, there are 3 NASA rovers but only 2 of them are still working. The first robot sent to a comet was the Stardust. In January 2006, it returned comet pieces to Earth. We used the strategy of changing active voice to passive voice. We also combined 2 ideas into one sentence. Number 3. In the past, robots had helped NASA explore. Today, they are still significant to NASA. In the future, robots will be used to help return humans to the moon and to travel to Mars and beyond. The possible answer number 3. Robots have already supported NASA's exploration and it still has value in the present. Robots will be used to help return humans to the moon and to travel to Mars and beyond in the future. To restate the passage, we changed the words help to supported. And in the last part, we changed the active voice into being passive voice. Moving on, try now to summarize the following statements. Number 1. Long ago, people spent their lives roaming in search of food. They went from place to place looking for wild plants. They hunted and fished wild animals. Then, people found they could tame certain animals. They learned to grow plants such as rice and wheat. People stopped roaming and settled down as farmers. The possible answer: people back then roamed around their places searching for their food, such as plants, fish, and wild animals. When they learned to raise animals and grow plants, they stopped moving from one place to another. Number 2. The first farmers planted seeds simply by scattering them on the ground, which was quite wasteful. Some seeds were blown away. Birds ate some seeds that remained on the soil's surface. Still, farmers used this method of planting for hundreds of years. The possible answer: the method of farming that was used a long time ago was simply scattering the seeds on the ground. It may be blown or eaten by a bird. Number 3. Inhabiting tropical rainforests, Philippine eagles are well adapted to life in thick mountainous forests. Their short, broad wings and a squared-off tail enable them to rise vertically between trees. They can move around with speed and agility through branches and vines. They can skillfully snatch monkeys, birds, and other mammals from trees. They have talon feet and tear the meat with sharp hooked beaks. The possible answer: Philippine eagles are well adapted to life in thick mountainous forests. Because of their body formation, they can move and fly easily from one tree to another. It is also effortless for them to catch their food. Next exercise, read the passage below and restate the text in your own words. NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, first began making spacesuits for astronauts to wear on the Apollo moon landing missions. Back then, they tailored each suit to fit each individual astronaut. Today, to save money and time, suits are no longer tailor-made. Parts such as arms, legs, and helmets are made in various sizes and then assembled to fit each astronaut. After each mission, the suits are taken apart again. Next, try to watch or listen to a news broadcast on television or radio. Restate the news broadcast watched or heard in own words. Doing great, there's still more. Read the passage below. Use the chart below to get the important points of the text and write the summarized statement. Identify the main idea and the three supporting details. The possible answer using the chart. The summarized text, water shortage is becoming serious problem of cities. The possible solutions of the city government are: make more water available through recycling, educate people so they do not waste water, and protect existing water supplies from being polluted. Last exercise, make a reflection. You can use these guide questions to write effectively. Number 1, I understand that blank. Number 2, I realize that blank. And number 3, I need to learn more about what. Don't forget to share your answer to the people around you. Good luck! Great job, kids, because we're done. See you next week and thank you for watching.